Yeah, absolutely, Katie. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look. So we're on the 5th floor right now, so we're going to be zooming down. So you can tell we're obviously in a very safe location, but look at this. Unbelievable. This, you cannot tell where the Gulf of Mexico ends and where Matanzas Pass, the Back Bay, begins, because all of Estero Boulevard, it's all just one connected body of water right now. It's truly unbelievable. So to set the scene for you, we're on the north end of the island at the Pink Shell. Obviously a prominent, very busy area normally. Obviously not the case right now, but you see all of this water that has just overtaken all of Estero Boulevard right now. I'm sort of looking down the best I can. Obviously, it is getting dark. The sun is going down, and we can only see so far. But, the good news, I will say, I'm not seeing any giant pieces of debris or vehicles, we've talked about that, or boats or parts of homes, anything like that floating away. Those are the images that we saw during Hurricane Ian, right? Because there were so many cars still on the island. There were so many single-story structures still on the island. Everything since then, in the 2 years, they've really attempted to try to build up as at least 15 feet. And I'm looking at a house right now that is under construction that is going to be an elevated house, and you're seeing the water is nowhere near where the living quarters are. So that is sort of what they are looking for the future of Fort Myers Beach. But the hard part is that we just recognized the anniversary of Hurricane Ian just 2 years ago. I mean, there just has not been enough time for this community to rebuild. And we even talk about Hurricane Helene, which of course we dealt with impacts here. As I was driving onto Fort Myers Beach just 2 days ago to get into position, you still saw giant piles of sand. I mean, it reminded me of when you're up north and there's a heavy snow, when you see a parking lot and they just clear the parking lot and they create those giant piles of snow. That's what it looked like all throughout Fort Myers Beach on Estero Boulevard. It was piles of sand, because that was the sand that was blown from Hurricane Helene during very similar surge, even though we're expecting it to be much worse with this one. All of that sand went all over onto Estero Boulevard. They were scraping all of that up to try to rejuvenate the beach and put it back on, but it happened so fast. It was back-to-back storms, so all of that is going to be swept away again. And I can tell you, tomorrow morning, whenever we start to see these floodwaters recede, it's going to look worse than what Helene did, but in the sense of it's going to be covered with sand the entire way. I mean, it's from the Gulf has just gone over, and it is just rushing waters all throughout, connecting the Gulf to Matanzas Pass and just covering all of Estero Boulevard right now. That is why the town officials told everybody to evacuate. They were the first ones to do it, issuing that over the weekend, telling everybody to be gone by Monday at 3 p.m. That was more than 48 hours before we saw the worst of the conditions. I think that's why we are starting to see at least, we're not seeing giant things floating down the street. We're not seeing massive destruction at this point in time. So that is a good thing. Let's hope that still remains the case. Fort Myers Beach fire rescue officials are saying they still cannot be operating right now. They have to wait for those winds to go down. They have to wait until these roads are passable. So anybody calling 911, they cannot respond to those calls until it is safe to do so. And then they will start responding to those calls when they were placed into the queue. But the scene right now is, if you are on Fort Myers Beach, you got to be up elevated like we are here on the 5th floor. We are safe from all of this water, thank goodness. But you look at this, it is just unbelievable. And Katie, we're hearing you talk about how it's going to continue to get worse. It's hard to fathom how it can look any worse than it does right now, right? But that is what we are still expecting. So it's really quite unbelievable is what we're seeing here. Send it back to you guys.